Hi, this is Nikki again, and I am back for the second part of Auto Mode Basics. I've already forgotten what it was about. These videos are my personal experience, not to be used as medical advice, and they might all be wrong, but I don't think so. Okay, so basically what I said in the last video was that a stretch without any microboluses whatsoever or without any pink dots on your graph screen, that represents a period of minimum delivery. It doesn't have to be 2.5 hours. In order to be minimum delivery, it could be 10 minutes or 40 minutes. It just has to be less than that 2.5 hours, because at that point it will ask you for a BG. If you suspect that maybe your blood sugar is high and you don't feel like you miscounted carbs, or you feel like, I just don't get it, there's always the opportunity to go back into your graph screen and scroll back through the microboluses and look at your microboluses. Just because you see microboluses does not mean that you've gotten lots of insulin. You could have still been at a 50% basal rate. So it's really a good habit to kind of get back and look through those graph screens. The other way, the best evidence is by graph screen, and I've done another video about that. But another way to kind of look at patterns is your care link, if you can get it up on your computer, which is like beating the boss level in a whatever, very challenging video game. But if you can get it up on your computer, you can use it to look for patterns. You can look at your microbolus size, you can see the minimum delivery, you can see suspend if you're in manual. And then oftentimes, I hate to say it, but oftentimes after minimum delivery, you'll see this rise. So if you learn it's the pattern, then you can begin to kind of keep an eye out for it during the day. Okay, so minimum delivery, graph screen, care link reports. So here's the big question. If you just can't give yourself a bolus in auto mode in order to counter a high blood sugar, which is what a lot of people kind of run into, what can you do? And truth be told, I think it's not much. If you go by the book and they say, and I mean, what you're told is you're just supposed to let auto mode take over. You're supposed to let it do it. Let it learn you. It's going to get you. It's going to, whatever. So in truth, it's not much. Now, what I would say, having kind of done this, is that tightening up your blood sugar control, which auto mode is kind of going to make you do, that oftentimes helps, because when you walk a tighter line, you get better sensor performance because there's less of a delay, and there's less intervention on auto mode's part, which means that there's fewer minimum deliveries and fewer reduced microboluses. I think the whole system kind of works well. The more you can just put down the ho-ho and pre-bolus for your carrots and go to sleep, you're going to be good. I'm going to be good. I'm talking to you like that's it. Okay. I do think that behaviors that lend toward more stable blood sugars are going to help. It's going to let auto mode behave, and it's going to help your sensor actually put out some numbers that you can work with. The whole thing works better. Now, but that's hard, right? Like, we're diabetic and we're busy and there's a lot, so that's hard. Other things that people do is they start to look at insulin setting changes, and these are where, this is the area that I didn't do. I changed my AIT one time, was uncomfortable with what happened when I did return to manual mode, so I changed it back and never changed anything else. Some people will really insist, and I can't argue with them, that insulin setting changes are the way to go. The two changes that they typically talk about is your AIT setting as well as your ICR setting. In case you don't know what those are, AIT is your active insulin time, which pertains to how long insulin in your body continues to have an effect, and everyone is different. These are very loose definitions, very, very loose. And then your ICR is your insulin to carb ratio, which pertains to the amount of insulin your body needs per carb. Very loose. Okay. So basically your insulin to carb ratio is going to affect your mealtime bolus and afterwards, and your AIT is going to affect your correction boluses. I believe, I'm not going to get there yet. I believe insulin sensitivity factor has been ruled out. I think I heard that had been ruled out as a contender for having an effect in auto mode. as well as max basal rates. I got myself really excited about max basal rates, thinking that I found the key. Patty Giffins, you got me on it, and I got all excited. And then they were like, yeah, no, it has nothing to do with it. So I think that those two can be ruled out. AIT, ICR are still on the table for ones that will affect auto mode, performance. Now, there is also one other route. This is very, very controversial, but I can't make this video and not mention it because lots of people are either doing it or tempted to do it, and that is the phantom carbs. Basically, these are phantom carbs, ghost carbs, fake carbs, whatever you want to call them. And it's inputting carbs into your pump for a food that you're not going to eat. So basically, it's tricking your pump into thinking that you need insulin to cover a carb when in fact you don't need it. For the carb, you need the insulin. You're getting the insulin. You're tricking your pump into getting the insulin. I have a theory on this, and I do wonder what's the difference between an ICR and a phantom carb. I mean, I know there's differences, but I heard my doorbell, so it's going to have to be in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.